Hey everyone, it's Greg at PourMore. We're going to try this again. We're inviting Aldez Tequila today. Manuel from Aldez to So we're going to try again. We're going to get the team in. There we go. I
Okay,
have some
okay,
notice.
so now we're
Now
live.
we're live. I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, there was some issue on the phone with the previous connection, so now we're ready.
That's the fun of live TV, I think, what they say.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So Manuel, where are you calling from today?
So now we're in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're shared between the Northeast and for I would say the last year we've been in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty exciting.
yeah, no, listen, spraying Aldez all over the Northeast or the East Coast, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Much better weather down in the Fort Lauderdale area.
Listen, today it's been raining all day, but I take it any time based into how the weather is in the Northeast right now. And we're based in New Jersey, so in New
You are?
Jersey,
Okay.
yeah,
Do you
that's
have, do you have family up there or family down in Florida? Where you got?
well. I have family in both places,
Okay.
but where we have our main residence is actually in New Jersey. But we're being spending like 60 to 70% of our time here in Florida because we're opening the market. And usually the way that I open markets, I call myself. So I moved the whole family down here,
Okay.
and we're going on the second year now. Completely different market from where we started because the company started between the tri-state. I mean, the first case that we sold Aldez almost 7 years ago, I mean, it started in New Jersey and then from New York and Connecticut. And we built a company in the last 7 years in the tri-state.
Now let's talk about that. So my favorite question is we've all been sitting around having a drink and someone goes, you know what? We should make our own tequila. We should make our own something. And most time it goes nowhere, but you took it and went somewhere. So tell us what that moment was where you went from nothing to something.
Greg, that's interesting because I mean, nowadays I started working on tequila when tequila wasn't like that fun. You
Yeah.
know, tequila was known as the drink of the people. People keep the bottle under the table and pull it out for shots. We're talking about in the early 2000s. So, I mean, my whole job, I've been working my whole life. I mean, my professional career, I've been working on tequila. So, I mean, I started in the early
Oh,
2000s.
wow.
So, for me, I mean, I have the opportunity to work for major corporations at the time, and I spent a lot of years with them. And my wife and I mean, almost 10 years ago, we decided, well, I already spent almost 22 years of my life now until today on this one. At the time was close to 14 years. And she said, what are we done trying to do something different? What are we done do something ourselves? And it was at that amazing time where tequila was just booming even more, but consumers were asking more questions. I mean, how you produce your
Yeah.
product. I mean, this is way before about, no untouched, manipulated, or how they know it as zero additive. I was way before that time. We were at the change where we bet into the organic certification before it was the big thing that is now about sustainability and no pesticides or chemicals in the way that you grow the raw material and how you produce the product. So I've been in this industry my whole career. For me, it was kind of like normal direction just to go and start our own brand.
Got it. So you and your wife sat down, had this conversation. That's not an easy conversation to have, and to really take that kind of leap. So what was the real drive? What was the moment where you guys sat back and said, let's pull the trigger?
Well, it was an interesting time because when I left corporate, I was kind of like I decided to take off because I was working for a major brand for 14 years.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it's time to do something different. So then I went to another brand that is now, both of them are very big brands. And it got to a point that I'm going, okay, what is going to be the next thing for us? And I have the opportunity to go back to corporate and work on another brand. But at the time, my wife, with that spirit of entrepreneurship, just said, like, listen, if you go back to corporate, let me go ahead and start my own company. And you
Yeah.
support, you stay in corporate. And I go like, no, 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 no. Let's go ahead and go all into the spirits. At the time, I already have great relationship with distilleries, but we wanted, when we started the company, we wanted to control almost every aspect of it. We don't own the distilleries in Mexico, but when it goes into, like parts of the vertical
Yeah.
integration of producing a brand, we check many boxes. So we start our company from scratch completely. I mean, we wanted to control the importation, so we became importers. We wanted to control the production, so we went and partnered with distilleries directly with them and start working on the profiles and connecting everything that I learned in corporate and in
Yeah.
different companies and apply it to our organization. So that it was a natural direction in a way. I mean, it was maybe because that was the only thing that I know how to do is work on the spirit side. For me, it wasn't a risk. It was kind of like, okay, now I'm going to be doing something on my own, and I really knew exactly how to work the market. So, and that's kind of like the difference between who we are as a brand and a lot of the brands that you see out there, which
Yeah.
is phenomenal because you support the amazing category of agave distills. But for me, I mean, it wasn't something that I just woke up one day, I'm going to have a tequila brand. No, I was been working on tequila since I was 22 years
Yeah.
old. So either representing other brands or, I mean, helping people build their
So,
brands.
one thing I love about the when you go source tequila, right, from Mexico, there's quite a spread of where it could come from. I've talked to people who source it from a grandmother who's been doing tequila for 70 years, all the way to contract distilleries. Tell us about your journey finding the right tequila, the right agave spirit to fill up your bottles.
It's interesting because nowadays everybody's telling that story. Okay, I'll find these producers that has been 33, 4 generations into
Yeah.
the business. 20 years ago when we started was completely different. Even 10 years ago when we started the company was mainly on the transition from 100% blue agave to 100% blue agave certified organic. So the
Oh,
opportunity that we noticed was that when we were going to the supermarket, we started seeing the selection of organic products getting bigger and bigger. So consumers were more worried about, I mean, oh, what pesticides does it have? We were not thinking about the 1% that now everybody talks about. We were thinking about, okay, how can we grow the agave sustainable? And a lot of the distillers that we knew, a handful of them, or maybe one or two, were actually going into a transition to get the field certified by the USDA and BioResearch. So when we saw that opportunity, we were like, oh my God, this is something that I know big corporations cannot do because I came from big corporations. So I knew exactly how to go against them 10 years ago. God, it was very difficult just to
I
penetrate the
bet.
market. But you were able to bring something different where they cannot do. I mean, that was the opportunity for us. So we went all in into the organic certification. We also start partnering with producers of the raw material that we need to put the bottle together. So we start doing recycled bottles. We start doing
Okay.
compressed board with eco-friendly paper. So we put together these second and third generation producers of raw material and together to build our brand and helping families. So that's when we started the company. Our main company is called Drink Good Spirits, and Drink Good Spirits, based in the heritage from us. I mean, it comes from the old world. Old world for me is Spain, and the
Yeah.
new world from Mexico down to South America, right? So and try and the whole reason of the company is for U.S. specifically to try as a distill from Spanish countries and learn the culture through that distill. So that put together, and we knew that tequila was kind of like the first thing that I work on, and then we started spending into mezcal, started spending into gin, and now we're a supplier spirit company that represents spirits from Spain, Mexico, and other parts that coming later on.
Tell me about your the bottle. By the way, is beautiful. I think that the design on your bottle is beautiful, but I also especially love the Aldez cooked right into the side of the bottle. I mean, that's some custom bottle work. So you talk about recycled bottles, but this is some custom, beautiful design work.
We did, and that's what we wanted to do. I mean, from the beginning of the company, we didn't hesitate. We wanted to do it right the first time. So since day one, the first release, we started from artisanal bottles to then semi-automatic
Yeah,
bottles. And we went through those learnings of, okay, we have to be artisanal, but at the same time, we have to be functional at the same time. So we went and got our own molds. We got our own designs. I mean, we work in through the agencies that we have within the company, partner with other agencies to help us tell the story about the bottle. And every bottle that you see has a story on it. I mean, if you see on the bottle of Aldez, I mean, you're going to see two of the columns on the side, and then on one side have a man, and then it's a woman. The
yeah,
woman is holding a rose, the man is holding a caballito of tequila. And if you notice, the columns are broken. It's the independence of Mexico from Spain, and the center of the logo, you see a jaguar on it. The jaguar is holding an agave plant, and it has 3 sevens on the bottom. There's
Is
three
that
sevens and number.
right there in the middle? Is that
Yeah,
the
and you
Jaguar?
can see
Okay.
it on the top as well. You can see the agave, the Jaguar holding the agave with the three sevens on it. And then numerology, the three sevens is the number of sustainability and an
Oh,
equilibrium with the universe. So it's growing the agave. So we put all the knowledge that we wanted to do into the branding since we started. If you notice, I mean, we maybe changed the colors slightly of the label on the tequila,
sure.
but the story, it was put together since day one. And we stick to our guns, and that's the way we produce ever since.
That's beautiful, man. So, the tequila category when you guys started off was still a little crowded, but now it's very crowded. So tell us what makes Aldez stand out. If you're gonna walk the shelf and you're looking for this kind of tequila or mezcal, what about Aldez stands out and makes someone say, I need to try that?
Listen, I mean, now consumers now ask a lot of questions, right?
Yeah,
How do you make it? How do you produce it? So the opportunity that is in the market, including for us and for many brands that do what we do, is all based on terroir. So profiles. I mean, when you're talking about red wines, for example, I mean, there
yeah,
are thousands of red wines, right? The same things happen to tequila. So the opportunity that we have on our brand is based on terroir and how we produce, how the profiles are going to be portrayed out. So that's kind of like the whole responsibility of Aldez is to bring those profiles. So what makes us different than other companies is the yeast that we use, process of production, the cuts that we do.
sure.
All blancos, like all reposados and añejos, they're completely different. Even within Aldez, we're working with two great distilleries. Now we're bringing what is terroir to the table. So those consumers that are pushing the boundaries, they want to understand how terroir changes the profile and how can you select a great tequila and understand where it
Yeah,
comes from. That's the whole goal that we have as a brand is just bring that culture and bring all those different profiles in within the blancos, reposados, and teach
yeah.
consumers exactly what an amazing category tequila is.
Yeah, that's so fun. I feel like also again the design. So there's a premium connotation here. It's eye catching. It has a lot of that history, that tradition point in, and it's fun to call it. I've always felt like agave. Out of all the liquors that we review, agave is the one that really does have that terroir, right? It really does come from the land and where it's coming from. Whether you're staying on the regular side or you're going to smoke it and do some mezcal work, I feel like the agave really comes through in these things. What would you say is your like when you're tasting and trying out the samples coming off the barrels and distilling? What are you looking for? What are you looking to get on your taste palette as you're building the profile for your core expressions and then special expressions?
Exactly, and you mentioned something that is very important for us, Greg, is terroir driven, right? I mean, so what we're looking to express is based in the location where we're growing the agave, what is a representation of that specific
Yeah,
terroir? For example, a lot of tequileros now talk about highlands and lowlands. I mean, when you're talking about different profiles based into the location where the raw material grows, I mean, you start thinking about wine, you start thinking about whiskey. So what we wanted to do with Aldez, we're working 100% right now in the lowlands of Jalisco. I mean, we're
okay,
working in Amatitan and eso en El Arenal. So, I mean, in those two regions, what we want to bring is even within the same location of the lowlands, you can have two blancos completely different. So, what are we looking to the representation of the lowlands? To have a product that represents the flavors of the agave plant, at the same time don't have anything added to it, and then the finish. We're always looking for the famous finish that is long finish, the start sweet nose on your mouth, and the
yeah,
finish comes from your chest up. But it's mainly how you do the cuts, what do you do special in order to produce your product. And I can walk you through, for example, I mean, going from our main line that is that Aldez Tequila Blanco.
yeah.
I mean, this is produced in 1480, but we're also working in 1586. Both distilleries work on certified organic tequilas. And I can tell you the difference what I see every time that I get to work with our master distillers and master profiles, which the master profile we have it in-house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mainly to see first, I mean, a raw material, and then the process of production is all traditional. I know you have people in your channel before, we have the same process. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about tequila. Smoking, steaming the agave plants, extracting the juices. I mean, the difference between the two that we do and one we call it Aldez Blancos Lowlands and Aldez Organic is one, the organic. I mean, we do actually open vat fermentation with a single strain of wild
Oh,
yeast.
okay.
Then a second distillation from the uses of the agave plant. We seed our tequila blanco anywhere between 6 to 7 months at high proof. And then we reduce it and start aerated naturally to get the profile. On 1586, the way we do it, I mean, we use a different type of yeast, but now we're doing controlled fermentation. So it's not open fermentation. And then we do the cuts, and we also hold the same thing. So based into water source, agave concentration, the bricks on the agaves, how you produce it, how you do the cuts, and even the alambic. I mean, it changed everything. And that's kind of like what the beautiful thing when you have two tequilas blancos from two different distilleries,
Yeah.
produced both traditional, but when you tweak like a great chef, and in this case, great master distillers and master profilers, it portrays a different blanco that it will fit what consumers are looking for right now. I mean, not all blancos you like ones more than others, but you stay within the
Yeah.
category.
What I love about open vat fermentation is it's an extra step for getting that local. Again, it's another terrible opportunity, right? So you have the agave itself, but then when you're in the open vat, you're collecting the air, you're collecting the impurities, and it all gets fermented out, right? It's not going to be impurities, but it's an added opportunity to infuse local flavor, local speciality into distillation. Do you taste a distinct difference between your two, like in that moment, like the open vat versus closed, or is the more flavor come in the aging? Okay,
No, usually, I mean, the two blancos are completely different. Just water source and yeast, it give you a completely
just that
different
alone will do change.
design.
Yeah,
But even when you do open vat fermentation, you have a propagation of a single strain of wild yeast that you have. In the case of Aldez Blanco Organic, I mean, we use propagated yeast from the agave sugars that we have from the same fields that are certified organic, right? But you always have to initiate it somehow. And then you have the open vat fermentation where you actually let the terroir that is around you, and it gives you the consistent fluctuates. I mean, so you have, when you start creating profiles, you have a margin, right? If
okay.
it falls within the margins, it becomes the brand. Anything outside, it becomes something completely different.
Yeah,
So I mean, and then with years, you become very good at it, where you know exactly how to produce it, how to do the cuts, how to aerate the product to be able to fall between those margins. When you go into, the same applies when you do controlled fermentation. I mean, on this one, I mean, it's completely closed. You still have a combination of a yeast that can be either a single strain or a combination of two different yeasts in the process of fermentation. But then, I mean, it doesn't take one from the other. It's exactly what you're looking for into the product and what is the consistent that you're looking
yeah,
into it. I mean, for example, if I move using the same yeast to another distillery, which we have done it, the profile is going to change. So this is
yeah.
actually all the profiles that you get to taste from a specific distilleries. It's actually very attached to that space. You can take it to another one; it will never be the
Yeah,
same.
it's a bit. That's a beautiful sentiment, right? And any given bottle is expression of that moment in that place of time. Now it came through, even when it's batched, right? But it's still that you need to have those exact ingredients, those exact machinery to make that same flavor.
Well, and even when you're talking about big scale and commercial brands, how we call them, I mean, even if they move within one distiller to another one, let's say they keep expanding, there are going to be fluctuations and changes that they have on it. These are now more like chemical confections, and it have a bad connotations in the tequila industry because we're actually set to different standards. But I mean, most of the spirits that you drink, what it is a chemical
Yeah.
formulation. I mean, but to tequila, they actually look at with different eyes. They actually say, "Oh, tequila, you have to be we have to be purist when
Yeah.
it goes to the category." But it's very normal when we're talking about a creation of a profile that every time that you open it, it will be the same. Tequila is two different standards. I mean, they want to see those slightly changes on it, and they also want to know that you're not adding anything to it. I mean, the agave plant takes so long to grow. Why to mess it up? You have to be good at what you
Yeah.
do.
So let's talk about the Aldez portfolio because you guys have some core expressions. We sent the mezcal out to our subscribers in the other month. I think it was January. So we sent the mezcal out. Talk to us about your core portfolio and then some of the things you're experimenting with.
Okay, so the corporate portfolio, it goes into the organic line. I mean, they come from 1480. This is one we started 7 years ago.
Okay.
Of course, we have the Blanco, which is no age at all. We have the Reposado, which is actually aged because it's a reposado. It's actually rested and reclaimed bourbon casks, anywhere between 6 months to 8 months.
Okay.
Then we have on the same line, we have the añejo, which we only produce roughly 500 cases a year. And that one can be aged anywhere between 14 to 16 months right now. I mean, and I tell you, there is a gap between the age categories is because the way that we used to age 7 years ago and the way we age now is have been some changes in the climate,
Yeah.
right? So that actually we get more angel shared, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's get a little older, but we usually now can age faster than before. So it means it's getting slightly hotter. So I mean, that's why I give you a range. So that's what we have from
The Blanco Reposado Añejo is all the same juice,
yes.
just how long it's staying for. Okay.
We're too small to have different cuts.
Yep.
I mean, and every cut to fill an oven, you're gonna need at least 2 tons of agave.
Okay.
So I mean, if you're in a small producer like we are, I mean, you use every single thing, and then what you do is just basic to what proof you put it on the cask and how much angel share you get. You can start playing with profiles, even with barrel blending.
I like that because, like, you know, if you have all 3 bottles lined up, you're going to get to experience the progression of that same lamb, but over that time, right? As opposed to different recipes, right? It's truly like this was just in the barrel for longer, and you know, especially the last couple of years, you said it got hotter, right? So things are going to age a little more quickly and see through. So yeah, I like that setup.
Yeah, you can actually see trace, and that's when you get into reposados and añejos. I mean, usually what you want to keep is a sense of what is tequila. You never want to overpower so much the flavors that it becomes something else. Let's say if you use bourbon cask, you don't want a tequila that become bourbon. That would be very expensive raw material. It's the same thing if you use other casks. So every tequila that you taste, either from or distillery 1480 or 1586, those are the noms. I mean, they will have completely different profiles, but still taste like the raw material that is beautiful blue agave blend or tequila weaver. So that's what we have on 1480. Those are the 3 products that we produce there. Then we start working in 1586. This is a project that we're super excited. We started working with them, I would say, a year and a half ago, and we have a few products that come out of that distillery. And we have the ability to do a lot of cool stuff. I mean, when it goes into barrel blending and owning our own barrels, and selecting barrels and all that cool stuff. The first product that we did, I mean, was actually Aldez Lowlands. That is not certified organic, but it's produced under the same regulations because it's from a distillery that is certified organic distillery. But on that one, we choose not to pay for the certification. So we have it, you know, 100% blue agave, very high quality. Then we start experimenting with barrels. So we had the opportunity to buy a bunch of barrels from Cabernet Sauvignon French Oak. So we have like 13 barrels. We open them up, medium toast, and we start, you know, we did a run with the distillery and we put that tequila there. What we did with 1586, it was actually, we start blending barrels because that was like the next step for us as the producers, understanding exactly what we wanted to blend. And we already knew that how, you know, reclaimed bourbon cask tastes like. So now we use French oak, we use Oloroso from Spain, and bring those barrels in. And now we get to experimenting on it. And that's when we launched, I mean, Aldez Joven, that Aldez Joven, and you had a bottle. Let's go ahead and open this bottle. We can drink a little bit while we talk. I mean, we wanted to release this, and this is after I have all these years in the industry. I mean, a lot of Joven tequilas have that connotation that in Mexico, they're cheap, right? It have changed so much over the time because tequilas jóvenes or tequilas gold, I mean, you know, there used to be no 100% blue agave. So nowadays, people start understanding what is a tequila joven. When you see the categories, 100% blue agave tequilas are divided by maduration, as you know, right? You have your blancos, you have your reposados, añejos, and extra añejos. Between blanco and reposado, you have tequilas jóvenes. What it means to be a tequila joven is a blend of tequila blanco with something else, reposado and añejo. And it sounds easier than what it actually is. It's actually very difficult to come out with a joven because what you do is you have to have as a base the blanco and then you have to add reposado and añejo, but the percentage that you add into the mix is key to give you the profile that you have. At the time, I mean, I told you that I purchased a bunch of barrels from French Oak. Yeah. I mean, I separate 4 barrels, then my team and I, we say, oh my God, these barrels are excellent. But understanding how barrel rotation works, when you do a medium toast and you first put the liquid and it's a fresh barrel, you're going to get a lot of aromas. And sometimes you have to age way less. I mean, you have to, if it's a reposado, it's over 2 months, you have to be able to cure the barrel and then start using it for a reposado. Otherwise, overpowers what is
So
a reposado.
when we say cure, you mean put stuff in, let it sit, clear it out, and then put in the tequila.
And you can do blends. Most reposados are blends, of course. I mean, you have to blend multiple
Yeah.
barrels in order to get your profile reposado. So what we did, I mean, and the other key here that a lot of people don't talk is the percentage that you put the tequila in the barrel. So we put the tequila, we distill close to 55%, but we put it in the barrel at 47%. So 47, like this, when you dilute it, you don't dilute in flavors. And when you deduct the angel share, I mean, that's a percentage that you get to learn based into the distillery. And some you lose more, and other ones you lose less. So all those calculations get you. So 4 barrels on the second run, they were extremely special. And that's when I told Jan, I was like, we have to do something different with this. So I called the team in Mexico, so like, and we talked to our master blender. Her name is Grisel Vargas. Say, we need to create something amazing over here. So we have these barrels, trips back and forth. I mean, trying to find the correct ratio of between blanco and reposado. And this reposado was aged for 8 months on the second run. We put it at 47, and we have an angel share less than 1% in 8 months on the second run.
Really?
So yes, the temperature.
What typical angel share for you must be 3 to 5%, right? I mean,
more sometimes.
More.
I mean, when you go to the other distillery for an añejo, sometimes you can have up to 10%.
Well, sure.
If you go,
Right, añejo, yeah, sure.
Well, no, don't even think about the timing. Think about the location of your cellar and the changes, climate changes that happen within the cellar. I mean, every time you open the door, how high it is, if you don't have mist to control humidity. So all this affects a lot. I mean, what you're going to get out or how much you're going to get out of it. So when I select these barrels and I knew at 8 months I lost like 1% of the liquid, I mean, the master distiller and the owners of the distillery are so careful. They say, nobody opened this door. Every time that you open the door of the cellar, alcohol goes out and the temperature changes. So they go the extra mile, and we select those barrels, and 4 barrels. We did the blend within, and then we had an amazing tequila blanco that we had for a year sitting on the stainless steel while we were planning the whole release of the line with the distillery. And working with the master distiller, Javier, and then Grisel, and myself, I mean, and the team trying all the different profiles, we came out to 70-30, 70% the blanco and 30% the reposado, 8 months. You can see it on the color. I mean,
you can tell. I mean, it's a light color. It's got feels delicate, right? But it has, what I like is, it's got it's staying on the glass, right? It's got some nice viscosity. It's got some nice heft to it.
Yeah, and the aromas that you get, I mean, like you get on the nose, you get some of the blanco notes, but then you get some of the aged notes. And usually, when you have the glass, if you divide it in 3 different areas, the bottom part is going to give you raw material. If you move your nose towards the top, it's going to give you the aging. I mean, like this. And the top of the glass on your nose and side, I mean, you smell all the casts on it. The glasses you have are amazing, by the way. Those are the correct glasses to taste tequila. And then the bottom, you get more alcohol and more note.
Branded PourMore glasses. So thank you, Manuel, for our call out. You can buy these online.
Yeah.
We'll get them.
So let's have one little sip just to get it to the roof of our mouth and see what flavors we get.
I'm getting the citrus for sure. I mean, I'm getting, this is a beautiful spice. Like it's not like a cinnamon spice, but it's more like a oh man, this is where I'm lacking in some of my terminology sometimes. But there's a great, so I get the spice up here. It reminds me of almost a rye whiskey. It has sort of like the rye up here kind of spice. I'm getting a lot of citrus coming off. I'm getting some black pepper, and definitely
And those are the oils from the agave, pretty much that you're feeling now. The first sip will never tell you anything about it. You just get the first impression. Now that you coated your palate with this tequila, the second and third start building up, and you start breaking up some of these aromas and flavors.
It's got the, what I'm loving here is definitely more complex than a blanco. Reposado is where I usually sit personally, and it's almost like it's on its way there, but it still has that sort of like, I don't know, fresh feeling to it, right? It's a little more crisp, a little more bright, as opposed to the more agedness of the Reposado Añejo. I feel like it has more of that bright citrusy feel of that not quite there.
You have the kind of like the best of both worlds, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the best of blancos and reposados into something that is in the middle, that is the joven. Because at
So this,
front, you're going to get blanco flavors. On the back, you're going to get the oak. The difficult to make an amazing joven is that ability that don't blend together, that you are able to separate the two in the finish. So it creates kind of like that confusion. That you expecting is coming, and then, I mean, the oak finish come, and
yeah.
put up the whole flavor. You know, you start salivating because the oils of the agave are there, but it still have those beautiful sweet notes. And what you do it is, when you age it, what you're adding is compounds of flavors. The longer you keep it, for the amount, adding compounds. And when you use it and you take care of the barrels the way that we take care of them, I mean, those pores of the cask, I mean, they're not clogged with caramelization of the sugars or the oils of the agave plant. On this one, only on the second run, I mean, it gives you something very complex. And I have some of those bottles. I mean, the liquid that came out, the color was outstanding at 8 months.
So Jen just asked a question in the comments here, asked a question that I was about to ask, which is this Hoven category itself is Hoven, right? It's a younger category of the, why are there not more in the market? This feels like an amazing space between the Blanco and the Reposado. Why is there not more in the market?
It goes again into the perception of what at the time the Mexican consumers saw what is a joven tequila. If you go to Mexico and you ask for a joven tequila, it used to be Cuervo Gold in Mexico was known as joven. In the United States was known as gold. So that was the old connotation of being a low grade spirit. Then you have, I mean, in the last few years, all these amazing brands coming out with their own confections where a lot of the jóvenes as well, they're actually filtrated. In the case of the newcomers with the joven, they keep the color on. And then usually what they did, I mean, they go through a process of filtration and by default takes slightly the color out, or they added more caramel colors into it. So I mean, joven is a category that you need to know what you're doing in blending and creating the profile. So it's not as easy because now you're blending your oils from the Blanco and also from the tequila that have different even density because now you're adding the compounds of flavors and oils from the caps. So even bringing those flavors together take a lot of time and being able to do it correctly because after you blend, that's it.
Yeah,
So
done.
you can separate them, but I mean, it would be very
Once
sensitive to do
you've
it.
been blended, you can't. Once the bread becomes toast, it cannot be bread again,
Listen,
right? So,
I mean, you can take sugar from water, but you know how much money you have to spend to take the sugar away. The same thing. I mean, this is
yeah.
almost impossible to do it. You have to do a lot of work, and then you lose. You can never separate it again. So you have to be very careful, and it's very risky as well.
I
More,
think of Hoven similar to like the category of like Cristalino, right? As another kind of category that's been having a lot of attention to it, which is just another layer of work, right? Is that kind of a fair
yeah,
comparison?
Cristalinos. I mean, I'm extremely familiar with Cristalinos because I mean, Cristalinos came out, during the time that I was. I mean, I've been in
Yeah.
tequila is a category that is all, but at the same time, all the high-end tequilas, I mean, it's the last 20 years. I mean, how the evolution of the category happened. Cristalinos, what it is just going through a process of filtration, I mean, they learned from rum production in a way. I mean, it's something, if you see rums are clear in color, I mean, those rums have been aged at least for 6 months and then go through a filtration process through charcoal. So in a way, I mean, different ways to do that, to create cristalinos. I mean, in my case, I don't like cristalinos personally for us to do because, I mean, if you're going to spend so much time to have a great reposado and añejo and then filtrate it, I mean, it's counterproductive. I mean, I think there are brands that want to do it. I respect them. I mean, the category is exploding, but we're very particular what we want to do. I mean, we're purists and in our own way. And I don't think I can do justice aging and losing so much and sitting on liquid for so long to then pass it through a filtration process just to shape it and to soften it out. Might as well, if somebody wants something like this, I would do something like a Hoven. Like this, you have two amazing things blend together.
Let me ask this. So, you've got your core expressions, you've got the Blanco, the Reposado Añejo. Why do a Hoven? Was there an opportunity in the market that you saw, or was it more of a purist, like we blended them, we tried it, we found it, and we want to make it happen?
This Hoven for us was only 500 cases produced.
Yeah.
And for me, that was that I want to experiment myself into pushing the boundaries of what I have done so far. This is the first profile that I'm working so much after I started the company, working on the first three. And that's something for me was very special. And what we're doing now at Aldez is just the creation and blending of this amazing cast, representing the category without losing the agave. So the reason that we did the Joven is to show that, I mean, how can we keep evolving and growing inside the organization?
Yeah,
For me, it was something about the passion that we have for the category and creating something special. And it's, if you notice, I mean, a lot of we've been 7 years out, but we're not in every state. I mean, we sell every
sure.
single thing that we produce, so it's not so much about going wide instead of deep in the places that we're on and bringing something special to the following that we have. Don't get me wrong, we want to grow, but we also keep the identity of what we want to do. And we want to do a small batch, high proof. I mean, we have cool stuff that people are asking for, and that's what it keeps me excited. I mean, it's just the creation aspect of it.
Yeah, I love that, Angel. So where are you going to go next? Right. So you talked about you had 500 cases, and I'm gonna top off a little bit here. This is I got to tell you, I have not had much Joven tequila,
Yeah.
and I'm usually a big Reposado fan personally. This is a beautiful blend of into that world. So I'm very into the color, and I hopefully it comes through here.
No, yes, that.
It's so light. It really is very light and filling, but the complex flavor is at odds with the lightness. So you feel it tastes more complex than it looks. If that's a fair
And you
assumption,
can
but
see
yeah,
place, right? You can see some reposados that have no color whatsoever. So it means those barrels have been used so many times. And
yeah,
it's just about the timing because, I mean, when you work with appellation of origin, they tell you reposado is over 2 months to more than a year. You play the range and based into how charred or how new or how old are your barrels, you create your own blend. So that's why all reposados are amazing in their own way. Doesn't
yeah.
matter what company they come from. If they do it properly, they have an amazing liquid. So we showcase that part. We want to show off and say like, oh, look what I came out with. So and that's kind of like what we do as a brand. It's just helping each other. Because I mean, we don't see other brands as our
Yeah.
competitors. We see kind of like what we see in other categories that are competitors, but not within tequila. It's educating people. That's what we enjoy doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the community, right? It's all about building up the whole community and the whole, people are still getting into tequila, right? I know that tequila had a massive rise, but even so, it's got a long way to go from a market saturation standpoint. And people are still finding their way into tequila, which is why it's a great place to be. So, with that being said, so the Joven is experimental
No, it's
case.
actually we did one release,
One
right? So 500
release, right?
cases. And,
Will
we're
you
working.
make it a more mainstream release?
No, no, no.
No.
We're not gonna. It's not gonna be. Let's don't call it a permanent SKU. It's gonna be in a special release every year
Yeah.
because I want to bring something special all the time. I mean, and it's not guaranteed that it's gonna come every
Yeah.
year. It's basically we have something amazing that I want to share. We do it, but we're never gonna compromise. Oh, we have to do it. No. So we're working on something that I can tell you now. In October, actually, we also have a partnership in Corona Distillery in Spain where we produce a gin and we're in Jerez de la Frontera, which is cherry country. And at the distillery, we've been, curing some barrels, and I put my hands in 7 barrels, 500 liters of Oloroso, 6 of them, and one PM. These barrels are 40 years old. So we have to rehabilitate the barrels, put wine again, Jerezano or cherry, in it. We did it for a year and a half, and we brought them to Mexico. We took them to Mexico past October, and we medium toast because on this distillery,
You can toast
1586.
it again.
Yeah, we have to do it again, and
Okay.
mainly just for the organic certification. We also, USDA
Oh,
required that, but
okay. Got it.
Europe the same. We also have certain mix involved in this one, but specifically too, we're kosher as well. I mean, and for the Jewish, religion, they also cannot use wine casks, so they have to reburn them. For me, it was fantastic because what we did was a very light coated or medium,
Yeah.
just to burn that wine, but it just revived the cask again. And then we aged this tequila, which I got some samples after 2 months. It's incredible. So what we're gonna be doing on the next Joven, instead of using Cabernet Sauvignon French oak, we're gonna be using Oloroso
Oh,
casks. So we're
okay.
gonna do the blend, and I have now those 6 barrels, 500 liters that the liquid is outstanding. So I'm gonna be playing now, getting back into the distillery with the team
Yeah.
and then doing blends on different casks. So you're definitely going to see a release if everything goes well this year and we have something special to share with you
Okay.
guys. I mean, it's going to be very
That
limited
will
as
be
well. I mean,
a tequila release or a mezcal release? A
that's the tequila.
tequila.
That's going to be the
Yeah.
same Joven.
Same. Okay.
And we can talk a little bit about the Joven, the actually Joven Mezcal. That's the one that you sent out. And I can tell you a little
Gotcha.
bit of what they do. Because every single thing that we do, I mean, we go directly to the source. We never buy open liquid. I mean,
Yeah.
and we develop everything from scratch. So you're going to see something Aldez Tequila Joven. You're going to see maybe something special coming up, I would say, at the end of the year.
Maybe we can work on getting some allocation for our people, for our
No,
members.
definitely. I mean, guys,
Got
I
it.
mean, this is I produce these lines for people that understand what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why it's allocated. That's why it doesn't go. I mean, I haven't even put many pictures on our site. I mean, there is nothing on our website. This is actually very special, and we want to keep it that way. And that's the way that we are as a company as
I
well.
appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate, like, what I love, Manuel, is like, I love your like mad scientist spirit, right? You're like, I'm getting my hands on things. Let's see what happens next. See what I can build. I feel like that's the mark you need to be in where you are, right? You're not just creating your core expression. You're like pushing the boundaries, trying new things. That's like a beautiful space to be at. So that's amazing. That's very fun.
And that's the way. I mean, if people that know me, they know that that's the way we are. I mean, we don't innovate all the time, but when we do something, we
Yeah.
want to do it special, and also we do things with reasoning behind it. I mean, it's not just how much you can spend; it's
Yeah.
how strong can you be where you
Yeah.
are, instead of why, like I say, going and engage with the markets that you have representation. So speaking of going from tequila now, I know that you guys you actually send some of the Joven
Yeah.
Mezcal now, right? That was interesting because if you know a little bit about tequilas and mezcales, tequileros and mezcaleros, they like each other, but they don't like each other at the same time.
There you
I
go.
mean, you know, there's a lot of competition. They say, oh, mezcal is
Okay.
first or tequila is first. I mean, I love both of them. I mean, I'm not Mexican. I wasn't born in Mexico. I'm adopted Mexican. And I highly respect, and not being from Mexico, I have even bigger responsibility to send something amazing to the market. And I understand every single thing when you're talking about tequila, mezcal, bacanora, sotol, raicilla, agave distill. They have
Yeah.
a way to be. So for me, the excitement is was able to, under Aldez, produce a mezcal. It took me a lot of years because I have to jump through a lot of hoops to be able to have a tequila
How long?
under the name 3.5 years, almost 4.
Okay.
I mean, and I always wanted to do mezcal. It wasn't something like, oh, mezcal, Manuel is now doing mezcal with Aldez. No, this was something since the beginning, but I
Yeah.
wasn't able to do it until I have the proper permits. I mean, you're talking about two different appellation of origins, one the
Oh
CRT and the
God.
other
Okay.
they have different regulations. So I follow everything by the book. Finally, we were able to do it. We ended up in San Juan del Rio. I mean, it's 45 minutes from city center of Oaxaca.
Okay.
And if you see the color of the label, it's all black. And it has a story as well. Because, I mean, with this mezcal, what we wanted to, when we were leaving the Palenque, and there is not light pollution on it. We were driving up in a road that we couldn't see just a light, but you see to the right or left, it's pitch black. And my wife, Jen, goes and say, stop the car now, let's go ahead and see the Milky Way. She loves everything that is moon, stars, everything. I mean, she's passionate about it. And when you get up and you open the door, you couldn't see the floor. It was
It was
incredible.
that dark.
It was so dark. And when you look up, you see the Milky Way completely there. So the way of the design of the label was based into that night when we were working at the Palenque, and then we came out and we saw the sky and how beautiful it is. And then, you know, when we're talking about those regions, I mean, San Juan del Rio is a very secluded, I mean, away from city center of Oaxaca, which is a beautiful small town as well. I mean, you can see the quiotes growing out of the agave plants. It's natural. So we have the ability to have, I mean, wild agaves and also cultivated agaves like the espadín. So when we released the first one, wasn't the espadín. It was actually the ensemble. There was a blend of 3 different agaves, espadín, tobalá, and jabalí.
Yeah.
And I went all out like I like to do, and instead of blending 3 different distills, I play my cards. I was talking to the palenquero and say, I love, first they send us like 13 different profiles. and we selected and narrowed it down to three. We knew always that we want to have espadín, cost related, and also we love the flavors of espadín. And whoever got this bottle, they know this espadín represent the categories. Beautiful. And we knew the location, the terroir, the water, everything was phenomenal espadín. So then we incorporated two wild agaves. There is the Tobalá Jabalí, which is Jabalí is a very rare agave. So when I told the palenquero, first time working with him at the time, this is like 2.5 years ago. I mean, I told him, I want to do this from hat. It means cooking all the agaves together. He looked at me and goes like, you're going to buy the whole production? Because I mean, whatever comes out is all yours.
Yeah, it's all work for,
Yeah, because he said, I cannot sell it separately anymore. It's all cooked together. And I said, yes, I'm going to get everything. So we did this in the winter months. We actually start harvesting agaves in the end of November. It started the process of production in December. It was a very cold time during that. They don't have winter, right? But I mean, it was cold. And what happened during that time of the year is still too. And there were some nerve-breaking situations when it goes into the process of cooking underground because, I mean, it was so cold. And it's slightly longer than normal. And also the distillation, everything is done by wood. I mean, fermentation, but fermentation, I mean, it's just natural fermentation, but you don't heat anything. I mean, you just put the malt on top and you just hear the bubbles, I mean, of the fermentation. But if it gets too cold, you have problems because, I mean, the yeast is going to die.
It's working so hard to get it there.
Yeah, but I mean, in tequila, you separate the fibers, right? In mezcal, you keep the fibers. So you get it like a big cup and you can hear the bubbling on the side. And then when you do the distillation process, it's not natural gas. I mean, they use wood. So imagine how to keep the constant temperature to start distilling. So it was amazing, but it was crazy though. Not amazing, crazy. Then, but when the liquid comes out, and it was so good that the palenquero, he was like, I think I want some of these liquids. Like, no. I mean, I bought the
you made me commit, so you're gonna
no, his name is Humberto. That's the name of our mezcal. We call them El Güero. So I mean, I was like, no, that's gonna be our liquid. That's something that we have. It's amazing, and that has been a staple. Months later, what we wanted to do is release every single agave independently, and we release espadín, and that's the one that you taste. That is an amazing espadín. On the mezcales, as you know, we like to have it a high proof. I don't like any mezcal below 44% or 88 proof. That's me personally. I mean, their agaves are. You pick your agave proof. For me, anything above 44% makes a lot of sense. So and this one is at 44, and the ensemble did it at 45%. And on that one, we maybe have 30 cases. I mean.
Very limited run. I mean, very tight. Yeah.
That one,
I'm glad we got it for our Mezcal subscribers. We love finding like the great story and the great bottles. That I mean, that's you can't just walk off the street and find that, right? It's a special run, special bottle. I'm so glad we were able to procure enough for our subscribers to get that.
And you're gonna see. I mean, you notice the bottle. I mean, it have all the pink colors on it. If you can see that bottle. Listen, if you want something complex and beautiful, I mean, that's the direction. I mean, otherwise, the espadín is beautiful as well. So, I mean, it just goes into what you're drinking at this point. I mean, for me, I can never pick one. I just go like, listen, it's how you feel. You feel like drinking tequila, drink tequila, mezcal, mezcal. And even if you're not drinking agave distilled, I mean, we have gin as well. So, I mean, just go, everybody have their own.
That's right.
You know?
So, Manuel, I'd love to ask people, when you're not drinking your own stuff, what else do you like to drink?
Listen, when you're small brands like that, I mean, when you go outside your market, you drink everything. Listen, I love great producers. I mean, there is a bunch of them now. There is a group of phenomenal distilleries. I mean, to name quite a few, of course, I mean, you cannot stop mentioning the Camanera family, right, and what they produce. I mean, the Fortalezas, some of them I really enjoy as well. I mean, Cascawin. I mean, there's phenomenal brands that I respect them. I mean, there is no other way to say it. And then they have other producers like us that we maybe don't want the distillery. They produce phenomenal liquid and they're very passionate about what they do. So, I mean, I'm lucky that if you're not drinking my brand, there is other brands that are great that I respect as well. And this community, I mean, we all know each other. So, I mean, some of those, I mean, and if none of them are actually available, I mean, I tend to drink something else at that point. It's just that life is too short to drink bad tequila or mezcal. Oh, I go mezcal. Mezcal, I mean, they always have,
Mezcal, yeah.
yeah,
Do you
something great of it.
stick? Do you stick to the agave? Do you move? I mean, you had clearly a love for some of the red wines and some of the Spanish wines. Did you get into the wine category as well, or do you stick mostly to the agave?
I drink the wine. The
Yeah.
older that I get now, I just enjoy wines because I think about the terroir and the finish. So I started
Well, you're so
thinking about it.
much more mature now. You understand the work. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I get a little bit into that. I mean, yeah, I guess I can tell you at home once in a while I open a bottle of wine, but then my wife got a very expensive taste on wine. I cannot just bring anything, so I go like, okay, we have all this. Let's go ahead and
That's
drink
right.
this. So,
That's right.
yeah, so that's I respect. I enjoy few categories. There's some that for me doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, change anything. I mean, like drinking vodka for me is not something that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Manuel, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I mean, the work you guys have put in. What I particularly love is the thought into the label and the storytelling between this one. I love your story about the Milky Way on the mezcal label. Thank you for sharing all of that. Anything else you want to leave with our audience? You know, any last parting thoughts so that when they think Aldez, what should they be thinking about?
Listen, Aldez is a family-owned brand that is passionate about bringing the best of that category and specifically. I mean, when you're talking about Aldez, we're talking about tequilas and you're talking about
Yeah.
mezcal. So that's the way that I want people to think about a brand that go the extra mile and really want to do the best that they can to represent that distillery and those families behind it, but also what we do as a company. So besides that, listen, Greg, thank you so much for taking the time. Enjoy the bar of Hoven. Let me know what we can do to help and to keep building that education platform that you're doing. And thanks again, yeah, for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you guys for listening in. We'll post all this later on, and we'll chop it up for those smaller clips. But thank you all, and have a great week.
All right.
Stay well.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.